Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. And this time, I once again wish to take up the topic of learning to unlearn and relearn, and probably in the process, also trying to reinvent and recreate our own selves. Also, in this video, I would like to address the topic of habits and habit that can be either confining or can be very liberating, and our innate desire to have things done our way, or wanting a certain kind of control over most things in our life. So, right from our words to our thoughts to our feelings to our emotions to our situations to our circumstances to our own lives, and invariably the lives of others, because we are social creatures. We interact with people and stuff and things on a day-to-day basis, so wanting to have control over their lives as well, so that we feel a certain sense of validation and a certain sense of being victorious in our own lives, and trying to see all of them by using a very different instrument, a very different tool, which is my own hair. And as you all can see, that I am a naturally curly person, and when I popped into this world, I came with a big black wig placed on top of my head. And I am sure that there were certain people who, when they first saw this wig, went, "Whoa, what's that?" Because I've been told that not a lot of kids, there are very few kids who are born with a lot of hair on their head. And unfortunately or fortunately, I was one of them. And I'm even sure that there would have been certain others who would have said, "Wow, that is so amazing." And invariably, I'm not sure how I took it at that point in time. I'm not aware of that. But yes, as I started to grow, there was this particular instrument or something similar to this, a bigger version of this, that was being used on my hair. And when I grew up a little older, when I could manage my own hair and when I could use this instrument on my own hair, I started using it because that has been used on me, that had been used on me, and that was being used by everybody in the family and everybody in the society. And people were using this particular instrument to keep their hair in place, to keep the hair in control, tidy and proper and neat and all of that stuff, and manageable. So, primarily, if you can see, or if you can see a lot of other curly haired people in this world, you would know that curls are pretty disobedient, and they're pretty wild and messy, and are primarily not meant to be combed. And this is something that I realized a few years back. And for the longest period in my time, for 38 years of my life, I was trying to use these kind of things or chemical straightening processes to tame these wild curls, because that was the accepted norm, because that had been done onto me since I was a child, and that I was doing onto myself when I started to grow up. Because I can't imagine me going to my school or any other school at that point in time, at least with this kind of curl around, and being absolutely okay with it, because there are certain norms that we have got to follow when we live in a society and a certain construct of the society. So, which is to say that it was necessary for me to, or at least my mother and a lot of other mothers and a lot of other kids, to have their hair combed and tied up in plaits. And invariably, that was trying to accommodate, uh, of us wanting to accommodate in the certain construct of the society that was also trying to make the hair obedient, which it wasn't. It was trying to keep it in place, which it wasn't naturally going to be. So, yes, all of us were being tamed, and not only on physical levels, even on subconscious levels, because uh, taming is the way to be in a civilized society. Invariably, what happens is that in order to fit in, most of the times we lose the essence of our own selves in trying to fit in. And I'm not saying that is not essential. That is what we all do in trying to fit into the norms of the society, into the norms of the family, into the norms of a certain organizational construct. We all do that. But we also need to understand that when can that become a habit, and when that habit becomes more enabling or more constricting or more limiting, inhibiting. So, yes, while trying to comb my curls, uh, I did a lot of damage, and a lot of damage was done onto them. And invariably, they had gotten very, very dry, very frizzy, very dead, very grass like. And in fact, when I would comb them, they would actually look like lion's mane, wild lion's mane. So obviously, nobody would accept a wild lion in the society, so I had to tame it up. And in order to tame it up, I started doing a lot of chemical treatments, which did more damage to it than it did good. But at that point in time, it was needed for me to do that because that fitted in with the norms of the society, with me looking sophisticated, with me looking more cultured, with me looking more sleek and chic, and which is what I did. Till a few years back, I was made to realize that this is the most unhealthy friends that I could have ever had in my life. And yes, it came helpful once in a while, and it still does come helpful once in a while when I'm trying to condition my hair and when I'm trying to coat every strand of my hair with the conditioner, but it doesn't come handy after that. So yes, I have moved on to using a different version of this for a different purpose altogether. But for me to lean into the discomfort of embracing my own self with my unruly curls, with my disobedient curls, with my messy curls, took a lot of time. It took 8 to 10 years for me to gradually start leaning into it and start accepting it the way it is. And I was helped majorly by Alina from Sherry's or the Style Chair. And she helped me lean into the discomfort because I was habituated into certain things of being, of doing things a certain way because they had always been done that way, and everybody else was doing it the same way, so I was habituated to doing certain things. But invariably, though I was realizing that it is not helpful and that it is not the most liberating and the expanding of feelings for myself, my desire to fit in, to be molded in, was bigger than my desire to feel liberated and my desire to embrace my own self with my own messiness. And that took time, that I needed help of somebody else. And very thankful that she was able to help me through this process. And though it was slow, she was patient. And every time I would go to her, she would just try and cajole me into embracing my own curls, even if they were wild, even if they were untidy, even if they looked unkempt, and even if they looked dead at that point in time. So that was me gradually embracing my own self and gradually shedding the habit of me being trained to become something that I wasn't. And yes, I would definitely say that me trying to tame my curls or me trying to tame my own self into being a certain way did help me at some point in time because I was accepted in organizations and in schools because they also have certain paradigms that they want people to fit into. They have their own constraints wherein there are social norms that we have to follow. So, yes, it did help me at that point in time, but it also had snatched away me from me. And for me to realign with myself was a new habit for me that I had to lean into. I had to lean into the discomfort of trying to embrace myself completely, of not trying to find that perfection or that kind of a control, or wanting that kind of an obedience from my hair. It wasn't going to happen. And gradually, I started to learn that it's okay to not be obedient at times, to question back at times, to think that this thing may have helped a lot of other people, that this thing may have helped even me at certain point in time. But is it helping me today? This had been a habit for close to 25, 30 years. And I had to gradually let go of that habit if I needed to be with my own self and my own discomforts and my own messiness. I had to let go of certain things. So, yes, I did lean into it in a different way. I took time leaning into it, and habits do take time to build up, and habits do take time to be shed off. And understanding that helped me become more of who I am today, helped me love me myself more. And a few days back, I had happened to ask a lot of people if they could tell me who their best friends were or who was their best friend. And a ton of people, in fact everybody, told me XYZ, ABC, EGF names. But nobody said, not a single person said, I am my best friend, and that I could sit with my own self for the longest parts, and that yes, I am a social creature, and that I do go out and I do need other company because they do stimulate me, because they do help elevate me, because they help me connect in a better way. I do need it at times. But nobody said I am my best friend. Not a single person. And that was surprising, and maybe that is why today, when this lockdown has happened, there are a lot of people, a whole lot of people who are not able to sit with their own selves, who are not able to sit with their own near and dear ones, who are not able to sit with their own families. Because unfortunately, we haven't, right from the time we are born, we haven't been taught and trained to live with our own selves. We are taught that we are social creatures, which is one aspect of things. Yes, we are social creatures, and we need to be a part of the society. It is an innate need in us. But it is also essential to realize that somewhere we are complete as a social group in our own selves as well. And unless we befriend our own selves completely, unless we embrace our own selves completely with our own messiness, however bad that might be, there can be nobody else who can befriend us completely. If we are not willing to be open and honest and authentic with our own selves, we can't expect somebody to show up for us. It's really not possible. And that is why when today people say that it's very difficult for them and they are just waiting for the lockdown period to get over so that they can move out again, I somewhere feel very anxious, and I somewhere feel very disconnected with that thought. And it's a very disturbing thought for me, because for me it's almost like trying to say that I'm trying to run away from my own self and my own people and my own feelings and my own thoughts. And then I began to question, you're running away from your own self. How far will you run? How far will you go? And I doubt most of us would reach that far. At some point in time or the other, our shadows will catch up. And therefore, it was essential for me to address this in keeping with the kind of control that we want to have in our lives, in the lives of other people, on our circumstances and on our situations. I think it is equally important to understand that if things are in control and if they are kept the way they are, and if we just keep locking ourselves in that realm of control, we just probably may be locking ourselves a lot more than need be. We might be constricting ourselves a lot more than enabling ourselves, because life is in flow. Imagine what if tomorrow our blood was to stop flowing. Imagine what if our thought processes were to stop flowing. Imagine what if we were not able to feel our emotions. Imagine what if the rivers and the water bodies were to stop flowing. Everything would get fossilized. And fossilized things are dead things. So for me to address this thing today was to take another look, another perspective into having or wishing for that kind of a control, and to understanding for our own selves on an individual level as to how has that helped us. Is it still helping us, enabling us, or is it constricting us and limiting us? It was also to understand that how far are we willing to lean into our own discomforts to start embracing, befriending our own selves, so that we truly don't have to run out every time to find a friend, to seek a friend, if the situation as it is today ever presents itself before us. What if we can someday say that I am my best friend? And yes, I do have other friends who are equally my besties, but I found my best friend here, and I don't go looking out for another. And I'm equally happy to find another who resonates with me, but I'm not running away from myself essentially. What if we could reach that point? What if we were taught? What if we were trained to become ourselves more in a more holistic way? What if we can understand that at times our habits may be more disabling than enabling? And what if we could rewire those habits that they enable us more than disable us more? What if we could just do tweaks and edits in between those habits that not wire us but unwire us, unleash us to become a better versions of ourselves? And what if we can say, I used to be that, but I'm a better version of that today, and I'll still be a better version of that tomorrow, because that is where I wish to flow. What if we can truly do that? Will it not be a fantastic journey? Will it not be a fantastic flow of life? So let's try and do that more often, and I will see you once again next week. Till then, stay in flow.